that history's ever created. I'm not committed to nonviolence in any way.
Man or woman who hates communism the most, that is to say, the man or woman who knows the least about communism, is the man or woman who wants to know the least about communism. That is to say, snakes are my enemies. They come to bite me, and I don't even want to know what they look like.
We're going to see about stopping, regardless of what these people think we should do. Because school is not important, and work is not important. Nothing's more important than stopping fascism, because fascism will stop us all.
Yo. Welcome to the Forest Pod. Your place to see the forest for the trees when it comes to geopolitics, TICs, and whatnot.
Culture,
technologies,
and everything in between. We dig into
government
history
cheese
that's been forgotten or misused to get to the root of these issues. In a world where we're increasingly distracted, we pump the brakes, offer some thoughtful takes, and not just reactions. We read the tea leaves while keeping a broad perspective so not to get lost in the weeds. We certainly don't know it all. We're here learning as we grow. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Welcome to the Forest Pod. I'm your host,
faux show,
Pretty Bad Comrade, joined by my intrepid co-host.
Intrepid, I don't even know what that means. Co-host, Comrade Villain. And we're here to give you part 2 of the Venezuela podcast. The last pod we did essentially a little bit of Simón Bolívar and then fast forwarded to Chávez.
Yeah, I'm going to do a summary. A recap, if you will.
He's going to run it back. But before we do that, news, current events.
Okay.
I guess we'll do this, the National Guard shooting. So these 2 people got shot, these National Guard members in D.C., Specialist Sarah Beckstrom and Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf. They were 20 and 24. She ended up dying, and then he's still critically wounded. And remind me again, why are they in D.C., the National Guard?
Because Trump gave orders.
There's too much crime in D.C., so he said the National Guard, and they probably shouldn't be there. Well, no, they shouldn't be there at all right now. The person that shot them was an Afghani national, not an Afghan national. I guess you could say that. But he helped us while he was over there. Whenever we were over there, he was trained by the CIA. So, there's going to be some conspiracy theories about this. What conspiracy theories have you heard about this?
I mean, none really.
Just the implication.
Right.
Like Always Sunny. It's the implication.
Yeah, I mean, this is what some may consider blowback of sorts, given our involvement in Afghanistan historically.
How can you classify it as that?
Yeah, I think it's fair to call it blowback. Obviously, we trained a lot of Afghan people to, who were supposed to sort of take the place of the Taliban after we, invaded and destabilized the country. Mm-hmm. We pulled out. The Taliban immediately took over. And some of those people who were helping the U.S. military obviously were afraid for their lives and wanted to come to the United States because the Taliban probably was going to be pretty hostile to them.
Pretty hostile, yeah. That's one way to just say it.
Yeah. So so there was a program I think that started under the Biden administration to move a lot of these people back to the United States or get them to the United States so they wouldn't be attacked by the Taliban or what have you. And so this guy was apparently vetted by the Biden administration.
So I'm gonna get into that a little bit.
Okay.
And also real quick, he worked for a CIA-backed Afghan army unit known as Zero Unit, whatever that does for you conspiracy guys. And he came back through a 2021 program known as Operation Allies Welcome. Because another thing, there's actually a Jake Gyllenhaal movie about this. It's pretty good. I can't remember right now. But it's about like people that helped us over there and then we left and then they got fucked. And if you set a precedent to do that, then it's less likely when you invade another country, they're going to help you. So I guess that's good.
Right.
I don't know if they think about stuff like that. But I have a little clip from our second favorite president after Obama, Mango Mussolini, Mandarin Mussolini. And he's taking an interview question about the shooting, and I'm just going to play it real quick.
A question about this tragic shooting in Washington, D.C. U.S. officials say that the suspect worked very closely with the CIA in Afghanistan for years, that he was vetted, and the vetting came up clean.
He went cuckoo. I mean, he went nuts. And that happens, too. It happens too often with these people. You see them. But look, this is how they come in. This is how they're standing on top of each other, and that's an airplane. There was no vetting or anything. They came in unvetted.
Whenever we left.
And we have a lot of others in this country.
Airplane.
We're going to get them out. But they go cuckoo. Something happens to them.
Your DOJ IG just reported this year that there was thorough vetting by DHS and by the FBI of these Afghans who were brought into the U.S. So why do you blame the Biden administration?
Because they let them in. Are you stupid? Are you a stupid person? Because they came on a plane along with thousands of other people that shouldn't be here, and you're just asking questions because you're a stupid person. And there's a law passed that it's almost impossible not to get them out. You can't get them out once they come in. And they came in, and they were unvetted, they were unchecked, there were many of them, and they came in on big planes, and it was disgraceful.
So obviously that's going around because he said, "Are you stupid? Are you a stupid person?"
Right.
And what I've seen as a defense or trying to explain what he's trying to say is he was vetted by the CIA and the FBI and DHS, whatever, when he was over there to work with the military over there. He was not vetted to live amongst civilians in America. So that somehow makes it better. But I don't know. I guess.
I mean, what she was asking specifically was like he was able to get, like, they did another process of asylum earlier this year, and his administration approved him to continue his asylum.
Yes, but they wouldn't consider that vetting. They consider it, he shouldn't have been here in the first place. We're trying to get him out. We don't have I don't know. They definitely have the resources. They fucking put all of them to redact the Epstein files. Like, they could have used that for vetting these people. But I don't know. It's just, it seems like what he was saying and what I've read from like conservatives is they're like, nah, he wasn't actually vetted. And that's why she's stupid.
Yeah.
Are you stupid?
I don't know what to say about it. Obviously, I think we should have helped these people who wanted to come here after we destroyed their country. I think we have a responsibility to do that. But also, like, we should have never invaded in the first place. I mean, just a brief history. I mean, the reason that the Taliban exists, the way that it does today, was because of our intervention in 1979 during the Carter administration, where we funded the Mujahideen, which were these, radical Islamists, to use a word that the right loves to use, but they were fundamentalists, Islamists, and we funded them, trained them, and we did this to, one, destabilize a left-wing government that was in Afghanistan at the time, and two, we were hoping, and people like Brzezinski, who was Carter's national security advisor at the time, said this openly, we wanted to draw in the Soviet Union because we wanted that to be, quote, their Vietnam. And I think he said that almost verbatim. So that was part of our policy. This led to eventually this Mujahideen transformed into Al Qaeda and Taliban. They broke off into different factions, and that's how you got the Taliban taking control of the country. And so that was U.S. foreign policy. Fast forward, 20 years or so, Osama bin Laden obviously was part of Al Qaeda leadership. He orchestrates this attack on on the World Trade Centers, and this was our impetus for going into Afghanistan. And at the time, also before we went into Afghanistan, the Taliban said that we will work with you. We don't want you guys to invade. We will try to root them out and work with you to get Al Qaeda, because they were actually not getting along. Taliban did not like Al Qaeda. We said, nah, we don't want your help. We're going to just go in. So we went in, destroyed the country, and it turns out Osama bin Laden was in Pakistan, next door.
Oops.
The same government that we give billions of dollars of aids to. He was just a couple miles away from one of their military bases. And we've historically had good relations with the Pakistani military. So long story short is we should have never been there. This is all this is a result of decades of failed U.S. foreign policy. So I just think it's important to put that into context.
That's the forest. And yeah, this is the weeds of that. So I it's blowback in my eyes. Shitty situation, because he's probably going to use it to crack down on people. And PX has said they're deploying, how much did he say? Like 500,000 more troops? No, 50,000. No, just another 500.
National Guard?
Just another 500 National Guard members will be deployed to DC. Okay. So there we go. So that's that. Any other news you want to talk about before we rewind it?
Nah, not really, but we might come up with something later. We'll see.
All right. Well, I'll let you go ahead and hit them with the rewind.
All right. Whoa. Sound effects.
Yeah. I had to line that up and shit.
The rewind. All right.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So I'm just gonna go over some bullet points or whatever. But let's see. Last episode we sort of grounded it, the history. We talked about the history of colonialism in South America and Simón Bolívar's anti-imperialist, vision, and how he, got ousted the foreign powers, the Spanish, the French, and everyone else who was in Latin America, maybe the Portuguese. I'm not sure how much he fought with them directly, though. But mainly the Spanish, who had, colonized much of Latin America. And then we talked about sort of early 1900s Venezuela. They discovered oil. Basically, the economy was dominated by two of these parties, the Punto Fio Pact. So you just had these two parties that were sharing power, and who were using Venezuela's oil mainly for themselves. And then we got into the 1980s debt crisis, which forced there was an oil collapse, and it collapsed the prices, and there was an IMF structural adjustment programs that was imposed on Venezuela. They cut subsidies and what have you. This resulted in
austerity.
Austerity. This is what resulted in what they called the Caracazo, which was like a rebellion against that. Ultimately, the government of Venezuela at the time used the military to, put down these protests and uprising. Hugo Chávez, who was part of the military at the time, basically did not like this. He had this Bolivarian view that the military shouldn't be used on the domestic population.
On its own citizens.
Exactly. And so they sort of formulated a coup. It didn't work out, but he said, hey, this coup didn't work out this time, but we'll be back. He did go to prison, but he was released a few years later. Ended up running for president in 98. won that the presidency. When he came into power, there were some reforms. They redid the Constitution, expanded democratic participation. They wiped out illiteracy, expanded healthcare, reduced hunger, and education, etc. And we also talked about like his early visions. Well, I don't know if we talked about that. I can't remember how early on he had this view of a multipolar world, that he thought that the world was changing and he wanted Venezuela to be part of a multipolar world that he thought was emerging. And this was like in the early 2000s. I think he gave a speech at the UN actually.
Yeah, there was a quote from that Ben Norton video that I thought I had about that. Hold on. Actually, keep going. I'll see if I can find it.
And so, yeah, he sort of envisioned this. And this is early on. This is like early 2000s. And we talked about CELAC, which is a community of Latin American and Caribbean states, and the Petro-Caribe program, which exchanged Venezuelan oil with other countries in Latin America and the Caribbean at like subsidized rates, so that these, poorer countries, low-income countries could get affordable oil and energy. ALBA, which was another organization. So, Venezuela was really at the forefront of sort of this like regional integration.
And I did find that the quote is from his campaign speech, or one of his campaign speeches in 1998. Okay. And it's the world of the 21st century that already appears on the horizon will not be bipolar nor unipolar. Thank God it will be multipolar. I feel like we said that last time. I can't remember, but that was the vision.
Right.
Early on.
Very early on. So
and
that was before he was even president, right? That's during his campaign.
Yeah, that was during the campaign. He was credited with one of the people that saw what was coming with the multipolarity.
All right. So I just think that that's very important to, point out. Then we also talked about there was an attempted coup in 2002, but it was overturned just a couple days later because the people kind of rose up and said, like, give us our president back.
Well, they tried to do a bunch of shady shit and say, like, he said he resigned. He said he was corrupt and he resigned. And the people were like, well, we need to see him and we need to hear him say it then.
Right.
And they like surrounded whatever their White House is. And yeah. So people were like, nah, fuck that. You're not going to trick us.
Mm-hmm. And I think what had happened was the opposition had orchestrated those garimbas. Mm-hmm. And that's whenever the garimbas were, whenever the opposition would try to disrupt the country, they would shut down
economically by shutting down, shipping routes and
highways,
whatever,
and just doing all kind of shit to fuck up the country,
sabotage.
And of course, the government responded in some ways, and people were hurt, people were killed, and they tried to say that Chavez had basically resigned because of that, which he hadn't. He was basically kidnapped. And
correct.
Yeah. So his supporters are like, were out in the streets, and we're talking about hundreds of thousands of people were like upset. So they basically let him go because they were like, okay, well, the country's about to go into a full blown revolution if we don't let him out. So that happened, and then let's see, we talked about the lockouts, 2002 to 2003. There was the PDVSA lockout. Over 18,000 managers and technicians walked off the job. This was like a managerial.
It was like a reverse strike.
Yeah, it wasn't a rank and file strike by the workers. It was orchestrated from the top because the people who had historically run PDVSA were trying to, again, disrupt the economy to make things difficult for the Chavez government. They ended up sabotaging equipment, wiping data, shutting down automated systems. But some of the workers stayed at PDVSA and tried to continue to make PDVSA function. This is something I didn't talk about much, but I did want to mention it here. Is I think we got into it a little bit, but a major part of the sabotage came through the company Intesa. which was a joint venture running PDVSA's digital infrastructure. Intesa was 40% PDVSA and 60% SAIC, which was like a Texas company. I do remember mentioning that.
Yeah, because we had to look that up. I do remember that, yeah.
All right. But I don't think I mentioned SIC's board, which included former top U.S. national security officials.
I remember that.
Robert Gates, John Deutsch, Bobby Ray Inman, William Perry, and Melvin Laird. So a lot of these people were either CIA directors, former NSA directors, or part of the national security apparatus in the United States. So not a coincidence that this company that oversaw PDVSA's digital infrastructure also had a lot of ties to the U.S. National security apparatus, and they tried to fuck up the company.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to point that out. It's not some weird conspiracy that was going on there. It's pretty obvious.
No, it's just a thing that happened. Yeah.
And then anyway, so they were able to get the company. Basically, what they found out is that they didn't need as many people as they thought. A lot of these people were, kind of like our healthcare system. Mm-hmm. We have all this bureaucracy. Mm-hmm. These insurance companies do a bunch of paper pushing, making it difficult for people to get the healthcare they need. We have all these administrative costs, mm-hmm. which is why we spend twice as much on healthcare than any other country in the world. Mm-hmm. Same thing was going on with PDVSA. They had all these administrators and what have you that they actually found out like after they went on strike and the company was still able to function with less than half of the workers. They were like, well, we actually don't need these.
That's why I call it a reverse strike. And also
Right.
like why it's like a core thing of Marxism is like, hey, guess what, guys? We do all the work.
Right.
They don't.
Right.
If we go on strike, this shit shuts down.
Right.
If
Exactly.
they go on strike, like, well, we don't really need you guys that much.
No doubt.
Yeah.
And so there were some interesting anecdotes. So go back and listen to that if you didn't hear it.
Yeah.
And then we kind of got into the Obama administration. Obama put sanctions on the Venezuelan economy. They confiscated their gold reserves as well. This was when we see the first signs of the Venezuela economy really starting to struggle. This is also at the same time what happens is there's in my view, a orchestrated collapse in oil prices because we had put pressure on the Saudi government to up their oil production.
We have made some deals.
Right. So of course, the Venezuelan economy was heavily reliant on oil exports, and this made it very difficult for them to fund a lot of those domestic programs that was helping lift the poor out of poverty and educate people, et cetera, et cetera. So that's kind of where we left off.
All right. That's pretty good. That's pretty quick.
All right.
All right. So picking up where we left off. It's around 2017, Trump's first term.
And I should mention, because I can't remember if I mentioned it last episode, but Chavez dies in 2013, and then Maduro succeeds him. He was the vice president. He wins an election, I think the following year. I can't remember. And then I think it's 2014 or 2015 is when Obama puts the sanctions on.
2015 is Obama's extraordinary threat declaration. Yeah.
Okay, that's when he puts the sanctions on the economy. So now we're kind of going into, 2017-ish era after, Trump gets into power.
Yes. And what did he do? He imposed sweeping financial sanctions, banning PDVSA and the Venezuelan government from accessing U.S. bond markets, credit lines, and refinancing mechanisms, which effectively shut down the country's ability to import food, medicine, or oil equipment. And then so just remember that when people are like, socialism never works. Look what's going on over here. Yeah. Look at what's going on. Trump repeatedly asked advisors, quote unquote, why can't we just invade? This is confirmed by the AP, Bloomberg, and fucking John Bolton.
Wrote a book on it.
Yeah, he's actually had has charges for that book right now. Did you know about that?
I don't think so.
Actually, I'll tell you more about it in a second. This has internal documents and leaks show that Trump seriously considered this military action. This was back in 2017. The U.S. ramped up coordination with Venezuelan opposition figures, especially U.S.-backed right-wing politicians tied to NED, which is the National
Endowment for
Democracy, and U.S. aid networks. Trump's foreign policy team, Marco Rubio, Mike Pompeo, John Bolton, all publicly championed regime change. In 2019-2020, the Bank of England froze more than 31 tons of Venezuela's gold reserves worth over $1.8 billion. So just took that. Give me that. After the UK aligned with Trump administration and recognized Juan Guaidó. Is that how you say that?
Yeah, I think so. Guaidó.
Courts later ruled that control of the gold belonged to Guaidó's interim government. So they just took it and gave it to his government. Effectively seizing Venezuelan sovereign wealth to advance the regime change policy. So took it from the people, straight up. 2019, January, Trump recognized Juan Guaidó as the interim president, even though Guaidó had never run for president and had minimal domestic recognition. Only 81,000 Twitter followers, which I hate that we live in this timeline, that's significant. And this bypassed the Venezuelan constitutional law, because who cares about laws? The U.S. froze $7 billion of PDVSA's assets, including control of Citgo, which, I never realized growing up that Citgo was Venezuelan.
Right.
Handing it to the Guaido shadow government, the seizure crippled Venezuela's ability to buy food, medicine, spare parts for the refineries, accelerating the oil industry collapse. That's Trump in his first term, starting off hot. Why don't you go ahead and tell us about the rise of Juan Guaidó?
All right. So this is an interesting quote from CRR James. He's the one that wrote Black Jacobins, about the history of Haiti.
Jacobins, yep.
No, Jacobins. The enemies of freedom always find collaborators.
Yeah.
So Juan Guaidó
of my enemy is my friend.
Was that collaborator. In January of 2019, Guaidó declared himself president. He's citing Articles 233 and 33 of the Constitution, an interpretation rejected by virtually every Venezuelan constitutional expert. His move was directly encouraged by U.S. officials. More than 50 U.S. allies recognized Guaidó within days, driven not by internal consensus, but State Department pressure. Several governments later admitted they objected or felt rushed. Inside Venezuela, Guaidó's popularity collapsed quickly. By late 2019, polls showed less than 15% approval.
Fake news.
Video circulated of him walking unprotected through Caracas with almost no public reaction, revealing his lack of organic support.
Damn.
I remember seeing a video on Twitter of him
rough.
getting jumped somewhere.
Really?
Yeah, some regular downtown place where people were
once they did recognize him,
get out of here, bro.
jumped his ass.
Guaidó became tied to violent destabilization plots, including coordination with the military, with paramilitary groups operating along the Colombian border. His aide, Roberto Madero, was arrested with weapons connected to assassination plans. By 2021, even the opposition dissolved the Guaidó government, acknowledging that the U.S. installed figure had produced no transition, no unity, and no political gains, only suffering and deeper sanctions for the population. So he wasn't very effective, basically. So they said, look, we can't even pretend like he has legitimacy anymore. This is ridiculous. That was Juan Guaidó. And I remember he came to the U.S. and I don't know if it was the State of the Union speech or something, but they gave him a round of applause, and everything. So he had full U.S. support, and but it fell apart.
Oof.
Yeah.
So they tried to astroturf a fucking presidential And they just thought everybody would go with it.
Yeah, everybody would go along with it. And again, he didn't have any real support, so it didn't happen. But that's not the first time we've tried that. It did the same thing with that guy who was a Russian dissident. I'm forgetting his name. He died.
Navalny.
Yeah, Alexei Navalny.
Navalny. Yeah.
Oh, that was...
John SS Lightning Bolton. That's my nickname for him. It's pretty good, right? He'll tell you that it's kind of hard to do a coup. And actually, let's listen to him tell you that.
One doesn't have to be brilliant to attempt a coup.
I disagree with that. As somebody who has helped plan coup d'etat, not here, but other places, it takes a lot of work.
I do want to ask a follow-up. When we were talking about what is capable or what you need to do to be able to plan a coup, and you cited your expertise having planned coups.
I'm not going to get into the specifics, but
successful coups?
Well, I wrote about Venezuela in the book, and it turned out not to be successful.
Coups are hard, man. What'd you think about that John SS Lightning Bolton? That's pretty good, right? Pretty good nickname.
Like SS, like the Nazi SS?
Yeah, because they're lightning bolts.
Oh, yeah. That is their insignia, huh?
Yeah. Here's the other one I got from him. John Bolt is still on AOL email. Because his, what he's being charged with, and I'll tell you about that. He wrote a book you mentioned.
Right.
And...
is the Trump administration going after him for that?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I
because they're saying, because he has quotes from Trump in there, and then Trump declared at some point all of his conversations are like official. You just can't talk about them. And then so they raided him and they like searched his shit and they found like some AOL email. He was still using AOL email and they found some evidence in there. Yeah, it's fucking crazy. I couldn't come up with very good nicknames for him. I came up with a bunch of other good nicknames for like Pete Hegseth. What about Pete Keg's Breath?
Oh gosh.
Repeat breath test. The Warmocked Wino.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a very good one. And then for Marco Rubio, Uncle Tomasito. That's pretty good, right?
Uncle Tomasito, huh?
Yeah. It turns out that when you say Tomasito, it means like little Tom.
Yeah.
I remember
you put Cito as in it.
Oh, really?
Spanish,
okay.
That's what it is, yeah.
And if I can remember, Trump called him Little Marco.
Yeah.
So that fucking works perfect.
Yeah.
I was pretty proud of that one, too. This is what I did. I was waiting for you. I was writing a whole bunch of fucking nicknames for people. All right, so coups, yeah, we be doing them. That was our national security advisor, John Bolton, talking about it's hard to do a coup. Don't judge us like that.
I love how he was like, Jake Tapper was like, look, you don't have to be brilliant to do a coup. And he was like, hold on. I take offense to that. You actually do have to be brilliant to do a coup. And let me tell you about how I tried to do one and I failed.
Yeah.
So
it's hard, man. And I'm brilliant. That's hilarious. I'm not going to tell you about which ones, but I'm just know that I did them.
All right.
All right. So coups. Moving on to the drone attack in Operation Gideon. Speaking of coups.
Right.
So Maduro survived the world's first assassination attempt using explosive drones. I didn't know that. Back on August 4th, 2018. Devices detonated near the presidential stage during a military parade. Investigations linked the attack to Venezuelan exiles in Florida and to opposition operatives in Colombia, which kind of reminded me of the Bay of Pigs.
Yeah.
So Operation Gideon, here, this is in May 2020, was a failed amphibious assault, an attempt to kidnap Maduro and install Guaido. The mission was led by Silver Corp USA, which is a private military contractor. And speaking of the Gideon, Operation Gideon Bay of Pigs similarities, I did look into this a little bit, and here's the similarities. There was both exiles trying to overthrow a government they opposed. The Bay of Pigs was Cuban exiles, but they were recruited, armed, and trained, directed by the CIA. Operation Gideon was just Venezuelan military defectors and a few U.S. private contractors, which is that Silver Corps. So it's like the fucking minor leagues of coups. The Bay of Pigs planners assumed anti-Castro Cubans would join the fight. They didn't. Gideon's planners assumed Maduro security forces would collapse. Right. They didn't.
Yeah.
Both were complete failures. The Bay of Pigs was within 72 hours, and then Gideon was defeated immediately. Most attackers captured within hours of landing. And both relied on wildly unrealistic intelligence. Bay of Pigs overestimated internal opposition. People didn't fucking hate Castro like that. And then Gideon relied on a fantasy. It was really just 2 fishing boats, some minimal armament, and zero secrecy, no real logistics. It's crazy that they even tried to pull that off.
All right.
So coups are hard. That's all I'm saying.
Coups are hard. Yeah, I think they jokingly, I thought I had it noted here, but they called it, like, some people call it the Bay of Piglets.
Oh, did they? Yeah. That's hilarious. I love that. Yeah. All right. But a little bit more about it. For Operation Gideon, the attackers trained in camps inside of Colombia, protected by ex-paramilitaries and linked networks. The operation collapsed immediately. Venezuelan fishermen and local militias captured the mercenaries before they even reached Caracas. Some fishermen caught them. That's cool. Right. 2 former U.S. soldiers were arrested and later testified to the plot's coordination. So, yep. I guess we were involved by proxy. We were not directly involved.
Yeah.
Guaido's signature appeared on the contract authorizing the coup, though he publicly denied involvement, while the U.S. government denied direct participation. The operation involved Trump-aligned political operatives and reflected broader regime change ambitions that he had since his first administration.
Mm-hmm. We always like to have some, if possible, some plausible deniability. You know?
Yeah, man.
It's important when you're trying to do a coup.
It is.
Not have your fingerprints all over it.
And when you go on Jake Tapper and talk about it, it's just important to not say the names of the ones, and then it's okay.
Right. All right. So I think we're going to move on to Biden's first and only term. Got an interesting quote here by Angela Davis. When a political system is defined by lies, repression becomes necessary to maintain it. So
yeah, it's like a 1984 quote,
right? But we don't fuck with Orwell.
Not fuck Orwell.
So despite campaign promises to review Trump era sanctions, Biden kept nearly every single major sanction in place.
He reviewed them, kept them,
including the 2017 financial sanctions, the 2019 oil embargo, the secondary sanctions that intimidated global suppliers. In effect, Biden preserved the full maximum pressure framework. Washington continued recognizing Juan Guaidó until late 2022, long after Guaido's own coalition fractured and the opposition dissolved its parallel interim government. Only when the opposition itself abandoned the project did the U.S. quietly distance itself. In 2023, Biden offered partial sanctions relief tied to negotiations in Mexico, but reimposed them in early 2024, claiming Venezuela violated electoral guarantees. This back and forth, on and off sanctions pattern created economic uncertainty and discouraged investment. Biden intensified diplomatic pressure through the OAS, which is
what's that?
Organization of American States.
Oh, okay.
Attempting to rebuild the isolation of Venezuela that had weakened during the Alba, Petrocaribe, UNASUR, and CELAC wave of the 2010s. Humanitarian organizations including CEPR, CEP.
I think it's CPR.
Is it CPR?
I don't know.
Yeah, CEPR. I forgot what that stands for. Can you look that up for me?
On it.
The UN Special Rapporteur Elena Duhan and even Human Rights Watch acknowledged that continued sanctions under Biden contributed directly to hunger, medical shortages, and forced migration.
Center for Economic Policy Research.
There you go.
That's what that is.
That was Biden. So Biden just basically continued doing the same thing. Didn't change anything. He kept the economic pressure on the Venezuelan government. this was damaging their economy, and a lot of people obviously left Venezuela, and this caused a bit of a migration issue. A lot of the migration that we saw leading up to the 2024 campaign, which, not Obama, Trump was running on, saying, Biden had an open border policy and all these people were coming in.
All these 500,000 Venezuelans.
Well, there were a lot of Venezuelans coming in, and it was because of this policy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, let's get back to my president. Remember when we said in his first term he was already trying to take over Venezuela? Here's what he said in 2023.
Venezuela. How about we're buying oil from Venezuela? When I left, Venezuela was ready to collapse. We would have taken it over. We would have gotten all that oil. It would have been right next door.
So, hey, why are we even buying oil from Venezuela? When I was president, their shit was about to collapse. We were just going to swoop in and take that shit. Good job, Biden. Thanks, Joe. Sleepy Joe. Just fell asleep on the job. So, it's been known for a while what this is about. It's about oil.
Oil? Did you cook? Where that's from?
Chappelle?
Yeah.
Is that the same with the yellow cake shit?
Yeah. Don't drop that yellow cake.
Fucking Chappelle, man. But we've already started. So beginning in 2025, Trump launched unprecedented militarized actions against Venezuela, framed as drug interdiction. Never heard that word. Mm-hmm. Interdiction, intervention, whatever. And narco-terrorism. This represented the most aggressive U.S. operations in Latin America since the peak of the Iraq War era. According to the New York Times investigation, U.S. forces conducted at least 21 strikes on boats accused of smuggling narcotics. At least 83 people were killed, many of whom were fishermen or civilians. The administration provided no verifiable evidence linking these vessels to drug trafficking other than, trust us, bro, just look at these boats. It looks like they got something on them. And I did do like a fact check just to make sure that's the most up-to-date numbers, and it is as of right now. But what's happening right now is we're just learning about a strike that was in September 20-something. But we did what's called a double tap. I think it's called double tap, at least I know there's double tap in like shooting, but this is like a double tap strike or something.
Right.
So yeah, this was a September 2nd operation led by SEAL Team 6. You ever heard of them?
Of course.
They're pretty good. So tell me SEAL Team 6 don't know what's going on. Anyways, the first missile strike left 2 survivors clinging onto the wreck. Adam Frank M. Mitch, quote unquote, Mitch Bradley. What the fuck kind of name is that? Oh, Admiral Frank M. quote unquote Mitch Bradley. That's weird. Why don't they just say M? Anyways, head of Special Operations Command reportedly ordered the second strike to kill the 2 survivors to comply with Pete Kegsbreath's orders. So they bombed a boat. There were some people that survived, unlike last time where we scooped them up and then just gave them back to their countries because there's no evidence that we can use to try these people. This time, just kill them again, or just kill them, so that strike them again. This is a war crime. I don't know. I like to talk about war crimes because when you go to war, there's no rules. These are these weird assumptions that like, hey, you shouldn't do this because you don't want this done to you, like torturing people. But we torture people all the time. We shouldn't do shit like this. We do shit like this all the time. But I remember this because this is what American propaganda would use during the Iraq and Afghanistan wars to be like, look, they will do a suicide bomb, and then when the medics come, then they'll detonate a second bomb. That's like especially fucked up. Well, I mean, minus the medics, that's what we just did.
Right. I mean, I think it is important that we have, designations for these things for, war crimes.
Yeah, definitely need to categorize them, classify them, label them. But who's going to enforce us? It's like with the Bibi Netanyahu. He's about to get pardoned, apparently.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
All right. And I guess Pete Hegseth is the one that's coming under fire in the news for this because he's the one that gave the strike. I guess he said, quote unquote, kill everybody. That's from a Washington Post report. And then at this same time, you got Mark Kelly. He's the senator from, what is it, Arizona?
Yeah.
Used to be an astronaut. Now he's a Democrat. Used to be a Navy. And listen,
that's the husband. He's the husband of Gafford.
Gabby. Is it Gabby Gafford? Gabby Giffy? No.
Giffy Gafford.
Shit. Gabby Gifford?
I think
that
that's
sounds right. It's fucked up. She got shot in the head and survived. That was wild. But what did he say? He's like, hey, I've blown up boats. So look, it's not that I don't like blowing up boats, but like you can't just blow up boats all willy nilly like this.
Right.
And then I saw another article was talking about, I can't remember this dude's name, but he was a Nazi officer that we tried at Nuremberg. He was a submarine officer who hit a boat. And then he's like, I was worried about the debris giving away our position. So I told my guys to shoot the debris with their machine guns and hand grenades or whatever to make it sink. And he's like, I knew that people were clinging to the debris and they were going to die, but I did it. So I didn't want to give up my position. And we were like, yeah, you still can't do that. And we hung him. But in this instance, America doesn't even have that Nazi excuse. We're worse than Nazis. Fucking wild. We were hit worse than Nazi. All right. So the New York Times reported the intelligence justifying the strikes was so poorly vetted, it would have failed even during the Iraq WMD era. Weapons of mass destruction, man. This indicates Venezuela is being used as a testing group for unregulated covert paramilitary operations. Senior Trump officials described the strikes as part of a regional cleanup campaign, but no drugs were recovered in the majority of cases. They did get some drugs in some cases. There you go. The pattern suggests pretext, not policy. UN rapporteurs, what the fuck is that word?
Yeah.
Rapporteurs.
Yeah.
And human rights lawyers warn that these killings may constitute extrajudicial executions. Yeah, they do. Especially because the U.S. is not at war with Venezuela. Well, we will be, so we can retroactively call that. And carried out attacks in international waters without congressional authorization. Who needs that anymore? So, all right, Brent, tell me about why we got to do this. Tell me about the cartels and Tren de Aragua. Or do you want to talk about...
Well, I just want to mention something I thought about, and I was just looking it up while you were talking.
Okay.
But also, I mean, this is why some people suspect that, people like Mark Kelly and those other senators, I think one was Alyssa Slotkin from Michigan, who's also like a former CIA agent.
Spook.
But they gave out that they did that advertisement rather, or whatever it was.
Don't follow illegal orders.
Right. And people think that it was in relation to this.
Yes, because they would have been notified of this, and then so they were kind of getting ahead of it, getting out in the media, and being like, "Hey, guys, don't do that because this is definitely an illegal order."
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And then there was a guy named Alvin Halsey, who was a Navy admiral. He became commander of the U.S. Southern Command in November of 2024 after previously serving as its military deputy commander. Let's see, on October 16th, 2025 this year, the Pentagon announced that Halsey would retire effective December 12th, just a little over a year after taking the command. The announcement was unexpected. The three-year term associated with the Southcom commander was cut short. Why he resigned? According to some U.S. officials cited in reports, Halsey had expressed concerns about the legality and political optics of the recent U.S. military strikes and the alleged drug trafficking boats in the Caribbean, operations that had escalated under his command. So this guy's basically said, look, I don't want to be part of this.
Nope, I'm getting out now because they're already telling me to do this shit.
Right.
and I know it's gonna come to a point where I'm gonna have to deny these orders or get out now.
Yeah.
Don't deal with this. Fucking coward. He could stand up and be like, no, and then go to jail for it and be a real patriot like he wants to be.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm going to give him a little credit.
I mean, it's better than doing it.
Right.
I guess I give him that.
I mean, because, you know, at the very least, whenever you resign from a post like that, it's a statement in and of itself. Like, you're going to get some media attention. People don't normally resign from
for sure
those type of positions.
Well, hopefully all these guys that are resigning are meeting somewhere to plan their coup.
Yeah, I doubt it.
Yeah, me too. All right, so actually, before we move on, I gotta take a quick break real quick, and we'll be right back.
Bet.
Okay, and we back. All right, we're gonna start this next section, which is gonna be about the Cartel de los Soles and Tren de Aragua. We're gonna start off by listening to our commander-in-chief.
In recent weeks, the Navy has supported our mission to blow the cartel terrorists the hell out of the water. You see that? And you know, there are no boats in the water anymore. We can't find any. We're having a hard time finding them. Jesus. But you know, it's a pretty tough thing we've been doing, but you have to think of it this way. Every one of those boats is responsible for the death of 25,000 American people and the destruction of families. So when you think of it that way, what we're doing is actually
think of it that way.
An act of kindness.
You're welcome.
But we did another one last night.
Jesus
now we
Christ.
just can't find any. You know, it's the old story. We're so good at it that there are no boats. In fact, even fishing boats, nobody wants to go into the water anymore. Sorry to tell you that. But it's we're stopping drugs coming into America, if that's okay. We're stopping drugs at a level that nobody's ever seen before. Last year, we lost, I believe, 300,000 people. And that's not talking about the destruction to families. Every one of us knows families that have been destroyed because the son, daughter, even mothers and fathers are destroyed by the fentanyl pouring in and drugs pouring in. Well, they're not coming in by sea anymore, so now we'll have to start looking about the land because they'll be forced to go by land. And let me tell you right now, that's not going to work out well for them either.
We have to start looking at the land.
The land.
What a clown. I'm almost speechless, though. What do you have to say?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Speechless. That just the way he talks about this stuff, like so flippantly, it's just, I don't know.
It's an act of kindness. All right, well, I got one more for you before we get into this. Here we go.
Yes.
Are any other countries committed to helping the U.S. with Venezuela, or is our action still?
Yeah, we have great support because it's all about drugs. Well, in Venezuela's case, it's about drugs, and it's also about thousands, hundreds of thousands of people that they've released into our country. And some are gang members from Tren de Aragua. Some are many are drug dealers. Some are murderers. So in the case of Venezuela, it's the prison population. Their almost entire prison population was released into the United States. You know what that means? Their prison population was released into the United States. And we're getting it out. We're doing an amazing job. We have a strong border now. We have everything. Our country's doing so well. But what the Biden administration did to our country should never be forgotten. And the single worst thing they did is allow 20 or 25 million people to pour into our country.
Wow.
All right, so that's why we got to do it. That's why we're doing it. Go ahead and tell me about these terrible cartels.
These terrible cartels aren't really cartels.
Whoa, what?
Yeah. This is a mainly manufactured and fabricated narrative being used as a pretext for foreign intervention. You know, we've never done that before, right?
Never heard of it.
Much like the Iraq WMDs, that we never found. So Washington claims that this Maduro-led Cartel de los Soles, or an ISIS-like Tren de Aragua, they're following this WMD playbook to inflate a threat, manufacture consent, and justify sanctions, covert ops, and military action that we're seeing, and blowing up these boats. Basically, the idea is like, if they are terrorists or drug traffickers, then they don't have human rights. They don't have any rights, basically.
Well, terrorists, yeah, you can torture them.
Right. However, Cartel de los Soles was never an organized cartel. Insight Crime, which is an organization, UNODC, and the DEA, and the Crisis Group all show that it originated as a term for isolated corruption among National Guard officers in the 1990s, not a state-run trafficking network. Turning it into a Venezuelan narco state mirrors how vague intelligence was repackaged as a certainty before the Iraq invasion.
Yeah, and so I want to go into this a little more detail real quick. I am going to get into the weeds just a little bit.
Okay.
So what the U.S. is saying, in 2020, there was a DOJ, Department of Justice, narco-terrorism indictment of Maduro and officials. The Southern District of New York indictment alleges that Maduro led Cartel de los Soles in partnership with the FARC, which are Colombian rebels, to traffic multi-tons of cocaine into the U.S. It talks about specific drug shipments, 5 to 6 ton DC-9 cocaine load departing from Venezuela, logistics allegedly coordinated by senior Venezuelan officials. They also say that there's collaborative relationships with FARC leadership, and the use of the state apparatus, military, intelligence, airports, passports to protect the trafficking. This is all claimed by the Department of Justice. Their testimony, the indictment is built largely on cooperating witness accounts, plus corroboration the DOJ claims from seizures and communications. Those witnesses are not all public. The government's theory rests on their credibility in court. And then there's also, in July 2025, the Treasury sanctioned the Cartel de los Soles as a regime-headed criminal enterprise, explicitly describing it as headed by Maduro and involved in international drug trafficking. So what is often cited when people say Maduro's running this shit is that there's the DOJ indictment and then there's the Treasury sanctions. What those are actually saying is that we have some witnesses that kind of say that Maduro has never been tried, so it's unadjudicated. The U.S. is asserting via indictment and sanctions, not actually seeing this through as a trial. And some linked cases have been proven, which is major Venezuelan figures and relatives convicted for drug trafficking, which are cited by the DOJ, but those do not legally prove Maduro's personal command. The U.S. case is a prosecutorial narrative backed on witness testimony and specific trafficking episodes, but without a Maduro trial, you can't call it proven, only alleged. That's what ChatGPT says. Essentially, their whole case is built on witness testimony. Now, Washington, this is funny with Tulsi Gabbard. She's the director of national intelligence. There's been a newly declassified intelligence report, or it's called an assessment, an intelligence assessment, that found no coordination between Tren de Aragua and the Venezuelan government, contradicting statements the Trump administration used to justify invoking the Alien Enemies Act and deporting Venezuelan immigrants, also what they're doing now. Venezuela's permissive environment enables TDA to operate. The Maduro regime probably does not have a policy of cooperating with TDA and is not directing TDA movement to and operations into the U.S. Furthermore, most of the IC judges, the intelligence indicating that regime leaders are directing or enabling TDA migration to the United States is not credible. This is our own intelligence agencies saying, hey, no, there's nothing here. And then so people ask Tulsi Gabbard, what's up with this? She says she fully supports the assessment that the foreign terrorist organization Tren de Aragua is acting with the support of the Maduro regime, which is the opposite of what their fucking intelligence report says. So she's just saying no. So that's crazy. So Yeah, the Tren de Aragua, Cartel de los Solos. Cartel de los Solos isn't really like a cartel. It's not a real thing. It was like a couple ex-officials, military members,
right?
Somebody that had some kind of leeway to get some drugs through, but none of it was done by Maduro. The profits were going to the Maduro government,
right?
Like this wasn't a plan by Maduro to poison America. This is what they're saying.
Right. This would be akin to like one of like a U.S. congressperson being corrupt, doing something dirty, which we know that happens.
Yeah.
And then, let's say China was like, well, Trump or Obama or Biden or Clinton, they're the head of a criminal conspiracy to, basically we're using the fact that there is some corruption going on within the Venezuelan government, which there is in every government.
An ex-U.S. military member was arrested for smuggling drugs. Oh, that means Trump is the leader of a drug smuggling cartel.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So just very, very, just incredibly spurious claims that they're making to try to draw this connection to Maduro.
So here's my challenge to you, listener. Next time you hear someone try to cite something that proves Maduro is linked to these organizations, see what it is and see if it's not that DOJ indictment or the Treasury sanctions, because those are the only two things that I've ever seen sourced.
Right.
So, but yeah,
Facts.
You can go ahead.
And just a side note, like, man, how shameful has what's her name been?
Tulsi Gabbard?
God.
Look, I've never liked her. I know some people did. I never liked her.
Just sad, pathetic. What she like retracted? What was that thing that happened earlier this year where, like, Trump contradicted her? Like, she gave a testimony for something. I can't remember what it was, and then Trump basically said, "I don't care what Tulsi said."
I do remember. Hold on. It was about Iran's nuclear program.
That's what. Yeah. That's what it was. So just pathetic.
I think she was saying the intelligence community says they don't have this capability, and he's like, "I don't give a fuck what she says."
Right.
And see, I think she learned the lesson. The intelligence community is saying, "No, there's not," and she's like, "All right, well, listen, this man doesn't give a fuck."
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, so she's trash.
Yeah, she's terrible. Anyway, so I did want to just talk a little bit about the sort of hypocrisy around it. This whole claim that the Venezuelan government is trafficking, because historically, the United States has worked very closely with governments who we knew were narco states or leaders of certain countries who had ties to criminal organizations or what have you. So I'm just going to give a few examples of that. Manuel Noriega in Panama, who was a CIA asset and cartel collaborator until he fell out with Washington and we invaded Panama in 1989. And I think he's might still, did he die in a U.S. prison? I don't know if he's still alive.
I wish I should have pulled it. I just found it here. There's a SNL cold open of George H.W. Bush and Manuel Noriega, him pretending like he doesn't know anything about it.
Right.
But like, yeah. So it was so known that SNL was doing skits about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The Contras in Nicaragua, these U.S.-backed forces funded themselves via cocaine trafficking. This was confirmed in the 1989 Kerry Committee report.
It's the Iran-Contra affair.
Exactly. Everybody should know about that. But basically, these people were selling drugs to inner cities with the help of the CIA, or at the very least the CIA.
Freeway Ricky.
CIA either facilitated it or turned a blind eye and pretended like they weren't doing what they were doing.
Some claims they used their military planes to bring it in.
Right. Mm-hmm. So yeah, there you go. That was under Ronald Reagan. All right. There was the U.S. ally Alvaro Uribe was also flagged by U.S. intelligence for ties to narco traffickers. There was the Inez coup in Bolivia. The U.S. supported a coup regime that collaborated with narco-linked groups and rolled back cocoa farmer policies. More recently, I don't even have this noted here, but more recently, Trump just pardoned this former Honduran president, Juan Orlando
Hernandez. So,
who had ties to drug trafficking.
So Hernandez was a member of the National Party in Honduras. He served as Honduras president from 2014 to 2022. He was extradited to the U.S. in April of 2022 to stand trial for, quote, running a violent drug trafficking conspiracy and helping to traffic hundreds of tons of cocaine into the U.S.
Right.
So the thing that we are about to have to go to war in Venezuela for, we caught this president of Honduras doing. Fucking tried him, locked him up. And Trump's like, I'm about to pardon this guy.
Yeah.
He was, what did he say? He was treated very unfairly.
Right. Just
according to what? And then actually, I do want to say this real quick. This is a Congresswoman, Norma Torres. She's from California's 35th district. She published this letter on her .gov website, and I'm just read a quick quote from it. Juan Orlando Hernandez ran a violent cartel-backed empire that trafficked hundreds of tons of cocaine into the U.S., stole taxpayer dollars, and terrorized communities across Honduras and Central America. A pardon would erase years of work holding powerful criminals accountable, reward corruption at the highest levels, and betray every American family harmed by its crimes. He must serve his full sentence. Over his presidency, Hernandez turned the Honduran government into a tool of violence and corruption. He deployed police and military forces to protect cocaine shipments, used death squads to intimidate opponents, and openly branded drugs with his initials while profiting from American deaths. Pardoning him would signal to the world that power and money can shield criminals from justice, yada, yada, yada. This guy caught with branded drugs. They ain't find no Maduro blue magic. This is fucking wild.
Right.
And she's like, you can't pardon this fucking man.
Don't believe me? Just watch.
Just watch, baby. But yeah.
Yeah. So we have a history
pattern
of this.
here.
Yeah. We don't care about drugs in this country. At least the American ruling class and leadership doesn't. One more example that I didn't even know is recently there was the president of Ecuador, I believe. His name is Noboa, I believe. Okay. But he, there was a referendum they had in Ecuador. One of those, there was like 4 things that they had on a ballot. One of them was to this Daniel Noboa, a guy who has like ties to the U.S. He's a right wing leader, and he wanted to reestablish U.S. military bases in Ecuador. But they put it on the ballot at the very least, and it got voted down.
Huh?
Yeah,
weird.
So
people wouldn't vote to have another country's military base.
Right.
Yeah.
So this guy though, Noboa, his family historically has had ties to drug trafficking. Apparently, they're a very wealthy family. They own like some of the major ports in Ecuador, and a lot of these ports have been used to export drugs. So there you go. And he's obviously one of our guys. Like, you know,
I think you're treating him very unfairly.
So that is the U.S. We are.
That is the U.S.
Right. As Malcolm X said, in the United States, democracy is hypocrisy.
Plymouth Rock don't land. Wait, never mind. Go ahead.
Plymouth Rock landed on us.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. And then also, I just want to highlight our financial institutions, which have been implicated in drug trafficking for years. I know, unbelievable. So major U.S. and European banks have been caught laundering hundreds of billions in drug money. HSBC in 2012 laundered.
I remember the HSBC one.
I do too.
That was a big one. Yeah.
Laundered funds from the Sinaloa and Colombian cartels. The DOJ refused prosecutions to avoid destabilizing the financial system. Wouldn't want to do that. Wachovia and Wells Fargo laundered $378 billion of cartel money through 2004 and 2007, received a fine, but nobody went to jail. And during the 2008 crisis, UNODC, I need to find out what that stands for, Chief Antonio Maria Costa revealed drug money provided liquidity that kept major banks afloat.
United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime.
There you go. Thank you. So basically, 2008 collapse would have been a lot worse if it wasn't for all the drug money.
So you're welcome. I don't want to hear it.
That's in our all this drug liquidity help keep the financial markets
cash,
afloat.
baby. You know who needs cash? Yeah, pretty crazy, right?
Right. So yeah.
But yeah, because I mean, the real problem here is America. The problem is we want the drugs. I don't understand how it's their problem.
Right.
That sounds like a us problem. Like if I was them, I'd be like, sounds like a you problem. Why the fuck you bombing my boat?
And this is the other point. To your point, this is an us problem. We're the demand.
U.S.
Right. The drugs are coming here for a reason. Somebody in America wants them. This is supply and demand. So if we really wanted to do something about the drug problem, we'd fund mental health care, harm reduction programs. We'd
rehabilitation clinics,
exactly,
programs,
decriminalization. We've seen this in places like Portugal. They saw after they decriminalized a lot of their drugs, their drug use
reduction in use
went down significantly. We could go after some of these financial institutions in a real way. So, if we wanted to curb this supply and demand issue that we have with drugs, we could implement some other policies. But the problem is,
well, the number one thing that would help that would be like what did FDR call it? The second Bill of Rights, like that social safety net that provides housing, food, medical care. That will help a lot of it right there.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But that's leftists can't do that.
Do drugs.
This
usually,
freedom. You gotta have freedom to do drugs.
Drugs are usually done because they want to distract people. Want a distraction from the reality
of their shitty life.
Right. This is what when we saw the opioid epidemic. They called it drugs of despair. Right. People got addicted to these pills, and it was mostly where we were seeing it were in these depressed parts of the United States, the Rust Belt, the Appalachian territory where, industries had left and, the American dream had left with it. And these people who historically had lived middle-class lives and were able to have some social mobility were no longer seeing that, and they were getting hooked on pills and shit. So if we want to do something about the demand of drugs in the United States, we should, maybe provide a better quality of life for people here.
Commie. Yeah. But yeah. All right. We're getting close to the end here.
Yeah. I just wanted to. We're gonna kind of go through this part quickly.
Yeah.
But this is Maria Corina Machado.
I think it's Maria Trader Machado.
Yes, she is definitely a traitor. But she recently got the Nobel Peace Prize. You've probably seen her name in the news lately. But she's one of the opposition leaders in Venezuela. I think we have a clip.
We sure do.
Let's hear from her.
And this is amazing, super exciting for me. We will open Venezuela for foreign investment. I am talking about a $1.7 trillion opportunity, not only in oil and gas, which is huge, and you know that the opportunities, because we will open all upstream, middle stream, downstream to all companies, but also in mining.
Sure. Fuck it.
In infrastructure, power. We have our grid right now has a 17 gigawatt opportunity of energy potential that needs to be rehabbed. Certainly for technology and AI and tourism. Venezuela has 2,800 kilometers of pristine Caribbean coastline ready to be developed. So this is going to be huge. We will bring rule of law. We will open markets. We will have security for foreign investment and a transparent, massive privatization program that is waiting for you.
Huh? Waiting. Do you know who she was talking to? Waiting for you.
China. Russia?
The America Business Forum.
What?
Hey, you greedy pigs.
That's where that speech was at?
Yeah, I just pulled it up.
Yeah, so pretty transparent there. I mean,
they're all being very transparent about what this is about.
Right.
I mean, their half-ass attempt at making it about drugs is like really a half-ass attempt.
But yeah, the reason I wanted to talk about her is just because she's like sort of the new Juan Guaidó. Since the attempt to make him like the interim president and leader didn't work, they're using Maria Corina Machado now to sort of legitimize this campaign that we're seeing to intervene in Venezuela. And she's lending a lot of credit to like Maduro, this idea that Maduro is linked to drug trafficking and what have you. So I thought it was important to highlight her because she says out loud what the real goal and initiative here. It's to privatize the Venezuelan economy and give U.S. interests access to the oil resources and
like
mineral
they had
resources
before Chavez.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then I think we had another clip from Max Blumenthal.
Max Blumenthal, you want to hear that? Here we go.
Yeah.
Mad Max, let's go.
And just to quickly respond to 2 points the other panelists made, Mike Baker accused me of wearing a tinfoil hat. The truth about the Cartel of the Suns being created.
I said I forgot mine.
Okay, fine. I just want to point this out for viewers. The truth about the CIA founding the Cartel of the Suns to ship cocaine in the United States was exposed to a national U.S. televised audience by Mike Wallace on 60 Minutes in 1993, back when 60 Minutes reported on the CIA and not on behalf of the CIA. And just quickly to respond to Virtual Ambassador Story, who accused me of ad hominem attacks. You are a government official. You are a veteran coup plotter, and it is legitimate for a journalist to scrutinize the activities of a coup plotting government official who in February 2021 hosted a insurrectionist summit at the Marriott Hotel in Bogota. Wow. You, with Leopoldo Lopez, the U.S.-backed coup leader who staged multiple failed military coups and led violent riots that saw Afro-Venezuelan citizens burned in the streets. Check out Orlando Figuera. And Carlos Vecchio, the fake ambassador to Venezuela, who is actually the lawyer for ExxonMobil, which seeks to regain its control of Venezuelan fields. This is one of the most deeply anti-democratic opposition movements led by Maria Corina Machado, who has led several coup attempts in Venezuela. I mean, it's basically like January 6th again and again with the sponsorship of the U.S. Embassy. Violent riots that have killed hundreds. I personally watched Maria Corina Machado attempt to take over La Carlota Air Base in Caracas while the U.S. was trying to ram aid trucks into Venezuela, which the Venezuelan opposition subsequently burned and blamed on Maduro. This is a corrupt opposition that stole millions of dollars from Citgo after the U.S. stole it from Venezuela. This is a corrupt opposition that has paid millions to U.S. mercenaries like Jordan Goudreau, who I interviewed, who has personally described to me what the real agenda here is, which was for Trump Incorporated cronies to get their hands on contracts and to plunder Venezuela's rich mineral wealth and oil. Ambassador Story revealed the agenda himself when he appeared on a straightforward propaganda piece for regime change on 60 Minutes and said, Nicolás Maduro is a bad actor sitting on the world's largest oil reserves. Well, that's why you consider him a bad actor, because there's plenty of bad actors in the world, and neither of you will condemn ICC wanted war criminal Benjamin Netanyahu or call for his arrest, will you? Neither of you will talk about Ecuadorian President Daniel Noboa's role in the international drug trade through Benita and his family shipping company. I mean, the list goes on and on. I could spend the next 45 minutes talking about U.S. sponsored bad actors, but there are bad actors. The reason Maduro's a bad actor is because he's sitting on oil reserves.
It's only fair.
So I know we're just beating a dead horse at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, Max Blumenthal, dope ass journalist. He was on the ground. He saw the shit.
No doubt. First-hand account there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you guys get the point. Machado,
We know what this is.
She is not anyone. They use these people to try to give legitimacy to what's going on because they know that intervention is so unpopular. They feel like, oh, well, if we just get this Venezuelan person on TV saying that Maduro is bad and we should invade, then maybe people will go along with it.
Mm-hmm.
But she's been part of the opposition for a long time. She had ties to the Bush administration. She's from a wealthy family in Venezuela who basically they were mad after Chavez took power and nationalized things. So that's what that's about.
Yeah, and it kind of reminds me of that Richard Pryor clip we were watching yesterday, where he's, I know it's not this simple. Wait, was it Richard Pryor? Yeah. He's, I know it's not this simple, and that's what this feels like. It's like the same thing with Iraq. It was simple enough that Jeezy had it in the lyric,
right?
Die over oil, like, bro, what? It's that simple.
It really is.
We went to Iraq for their oil. We're going to Venezuela for their oil.
No doubt.
So, yeah, that's going on, and it seems like it's about to happen.
Yeah, it's. I'm praying it doesn't, but it's looking like it's a real possibility here. Trump just called to shut down the Venezuelan airspace, which is something he can't do legally. But
it turns out if he just says don't go there, and then the airlines don't go there because they're afraid of getting shot down.
Right.
That's effectively closing the airspace.
Right.
And I was watching an interview earlier before you got here of some people in Venezuela, and they're asking them about it, and they're like, "Yeah, this is fucked up. I can't travel. We can't travel for work. We can't. It's the holidays. Can't travel.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not even like to leave Venezuela. Like within Venezuela.
Right.
Like what the fuck? And so yeah, as of today, November 30th, 2025, we have a large military buildup. I can't remember all of the. I should have just pulled up a list of all the shit we got. I know we got like our largest aircraft carrier. We got
Gerald Ford. I don't know why.
Is that what it's called? Gerald Ford.
Yeah, it's a USS Gerald Ford. I don't know why he got the largest one.
That's weird. That must be nice. They've had a bigger one, I bet. And then, there's the talk of the land invasion. There's the double tap. So that shit's escalating and then closing the airspace. So, like, it seems like we're on the precipice.
Absolutely. And we're about to wrap here.
Because, there's no also, I was thinking about talk about how we think it's going to play out, but there's no use in speculating. Yeah. We don't know how the fuck this is going to play out.
Yeah, I mean, it's impossible to know. The only thing we do know is, if we do intervene, it's going to be awful, and a lot of people are going to suffer.
Yes,
unnecessarily. But I did want to just kind of emphasize how destructive the sanctions were, real quick, because I think that gets overlooked.
Yeah, you just hear sanctions, you don't really think about it.
People don't really understand it, but let's see. The 2017 financial sanctions and the 2019 oil embargo devastated Venezuela's economy, cutting government revenue by more than $30 billion a year. That's a lot for a smaller country.
Yes.
Blocking purchases of food, medical supplies, refinery parts, etc. And these are all things essential for their public welfare programs. A 2019 CEPR study by Mark Weisbrot and Jeffrey Sachs found that the sanctions killed an estimated 40,000 Venezuelans between 2017 and 2018, primarily due to blocked insulin. We're blocking insulin, cancer treatments, dialysis supplies, transplant medications, etc. UN Special Rapporteur Elena Duhan in 2021 concluded that the sanctions had a catastrophic effect on civilians. She found that 90% of Venezuelans were living under conditions shaped by these unilateral coercive measures, which is like the legal term for sanctions. Mm-hmm. More than 7 million Venezuelans migrated between 2015 and 2023. International agencies agree that this migration wave was driven primarily by sanctions-induced economic collapse, not political persecution. So just to be clear, like what we hear about the Venezuelan government being so awful, and this is why people are leaving because Maduro is so bad. No, it's the sanctions.
Yes.
It's us trying to suffocate their economy by blocking everything from getting into it. That cannot be overstated.
Now, could you imagine what we would do if any country tried to do that to us?
Right.
So I just looked at it. I was like, what's it look like when other countries put sanctions on us? Russia. It's pretty much they just block people that can come into the country. So like president, members of Congress, U.S. tech executives, officials, NGOs, they just, can't come to Russia.
Right.
That's not the fucking same. And that's the number one, country that's put sanctions on it. Same with China. Right. China's just like, you guys can't come here. Iran's like, you can't come here. Like, it doesn't impact our economy.
Right.
Yeah. And we would fucking lose our goddamn shit and go to war immediately if anyone did try to do something like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, and, again, a country like Russia, which we have sanctioned currently, right? We have a lot of sanctions on Russia.
Oh, yeah.
I think technically it's the most sanctioned country in the world. It would have to be,
I would think.
But Russia is a large economy, and it has its own industrial base. It can build, it can make things. Mm-hmm. It has a more diverse economy, so it's more difficult.
Well, I remember when the sanctions happened early on after, I guess, when was post Crimea Ukraine invasion? Was like 2022 or 2021?
That was 2014 when.
No, like post Crimea, like the most recent when they actually like went to war.
Oh, when they that was 2022.
Because right around then there was all these videos of like Russian malls, and they had all these U.S. stores that were now sanctioned.
Right.
And the Russians just changed the logos.
Right.
They still had all the same shit.
Right. Exactly.
Like, we're good, bro.
Right.
Yeah.
And also some of it's geographical. Russia is close to China. They have good relations. So they could just be like, we're just going to trade with China then. China was like, cool. Same with India. India and Russia have historically had good relations. So Russia started selling a lot of its oil and gas to India. So it was able to weather the sanctions in a way that Venezuela can't.
A smaller country cannot.
Right,
yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So that's important to understand.
Agreed.
But to kind of wrap up here, I mean, this is... Look, the attack on Venezuela is the point we've been trying to make here, and I think we've done a pretty good job of making. It has nothing to do.
This is just blatant colonialism, imperialism. We're taking your stuff, and they're even talking about it in that language.
Exactly. They're being very transparent about it. Nobody should be fooled by this, especially, since what we've seen in the last couple of decades. We know that the United States doesn't go to war for humanitarian reasons or drug reasons. We go to war for domination, influence over certain regions and countries and what have you. And this is what's going on here.
What's that Chomsky quote? The United States supports democracy if and only it coincides with strategic and economic objectives.
That's it right there.
Yeah.
So, Venezuela's struggle has... never been merely about oil, corruption, or authoritarianism or any of that. We don't care about any of those things. It's about a nation that attempted to exit the U.S. dominated order and help build a multipolar world. Right? Chávez understood that multipolarity was emerging long before most analysts did, and he built early institutions that challenged U.S. hegemony. He basically said, like, we're not doing this Monroe Doctrine shit anymore.
No Monroe 2.0.
All right, so
it must go.
It's got to go. Alba and Petrocaribe, they weakened IMF leverage by providing subsidized energy and social development programs across the region. Petrocaribe Energy's diplomacy shifted the political balance of the Caribbean, enabling small nations to resist U.S. pressure within the OAS. Globally, Venezuela partnered with countries like China and Russia and Iran for infrastructure, defense, refinery repairs, illustrating that alternatives to U.S. dominance were real and growing. Venezuela has also been an outspoken supporter of the Palestinian anti-colonial movement, and It's positioned at the center of the rising global South movement, rejecting Western geopolitical narratives. For Washington, these shifts represent a direct threat to the Monroe Doctrine, which has long framed Latin America as a U.S. sphere of influence. Today's sanctions and attacks and destabilization efforts are part of the Monroe Doctrine 2.0, or what some people have called the Donroe Doctrine.
Donald?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Aimed at preventing Latin America from building ties to China, Russia, BRICS, and other multipolar institutions. So this is really what it's about. It's about trying to go after Venezuela to reassert influence in the region. We know that, the U.S. ultimately wants to go after China. I think right now it feels like it can't go after China. It's lost. It's been losing this trade war with China. And I feel like this is sort of a redirection a little bit. Like, since we can't go to war with China right now, or I think we feel like we can't, they're saying, hey, well, let's focus on our region. We can do stuff to Venezuela. It's a small
grab
country.
what we can.
Exactly. And also, I think it's also about like weakening potential allies of China and Russia and Iran, right?
Right. When Venezuela, the largest tapped oil deposit on the earth, to be like, you know what, maybe we'll let China build infrastructure.
Right.
Work with them.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think like also if, for example, if we were to go to war with Iran and we were to destabilize that region, obviously that could mess up oil production. But if we have control of Venezuela's oil, maybe not so bad, right?
Exactly.
So these are the kind of things you got to think about. This isn't about ousting Maduro because he's an authoritarian or he's a drug trafficker or anything like that. It's because we're worried about the rising multipolar world, the role that Venezuela plays in that, and we want to reassert dominance in our hemisphere.
And as a reminder, the last few times we tried to oust a leftist leader in Venezuela because we thought, for some reason, the people would just get behind it. They didn't. So you think they're going to do it this time? I don't think so. No.
And to the extent that anybody would get behind it, it would be essentially a civil war in the country.
Right, for sure.
And it would be awful for the country. The country would be balkanized. It could turn into like a Libya type situation, where parts of the country are controlled by different factions or what have you.
Right.
Which we wouldn't care about.
No, but it's also not going to be a cakewalk.
No, not at all.
I don't know if you listened to John S.S. Lightning Bolton earlier. Coups aren't easy.
Coups are definitely not easy. Managing the aftermath of coups,
regime change,
impossible.
Want to roll in.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we're good. We're right at an hour and a half. This is perfect. Everything you said, the way you summarized it was perfect. Big facts.
No doubt.
But yeah. All right. Well, hopefully by the next time we record, we'll have better news about this. But
hopefully.
If not, peace, comrades.
Peace.
Yeah.
There's no way to be committed to nonviolence in the middle of the most violent society that history's ever created. I'm not committed to nonviolence in any way.
The Republican Party and the Democratic Party are beholden to the interests of monopoly capitalism in this country.
The capitalist European and North American powers have carved out and taken the timber, the flax, the hemp, the cocoa, the rum, the tin, the cotton, the iron, the rubber, the bauxite, the slaves, and the cheap labor. They have taken out of these countries. These countries are not underdeveloped, they're overexploited.
Liberals are, at times, allies. At times, they're unreliable allies. So I don't want to just whitewash them. You've got to proceed quite cautiously with liberals.
The man or woman who knows the least about communism is the man or woman who wants to know the least about communism. That is to say, snakes are my enemies. They come to bite me, and I don't even want to know what they look like.
What's happening here for the last 4 years? Brutality, humiliation, our basic human rights taken away from us. All of this has to come to an end through talking. So what? We take their offer, put their uniform on. These last 4 years have meant nothing. We could do that, though. but we can behave like the army we proclaim to be and lay down our lives for our comrades.